Hello, everybody, and welcome to Shakin Hands. I'm your host, Jack Moran. Today on the episode, we have Justin Wages, the founder of Don Luchi Prosecco. What's going on, man?
Can't complain, man. Another day above ground.
Hell yeah. Well, tell us a little bit just to get started about what you got going on right now, like what projects you're working on, your background.
All right, so right now we're working on Don Luchi Prosecco. I have two other co-founders. We've been working on this about a year and a half. We went to Italy in March, brought the product back to Charleston. It's a really big deal with a fifth Black-owned Prosecco brand in the country, which is big because we wanted to come into this market and bring diversity. We wanted to introduce it to minorities and say, hey, Prosecco is amazing. You should try it. Other than that, we have Dope and Rare, which I have on now, which is a lifestyle brand. And then majority of my time, I manufacture boat interior. So we have a brand or business called Carolina Cushions, which is family owned, and Premier One. And we manufacture boat interiors for boat manufacturers and for the general public. So
you got a lot of projects going on?
A million projects. Staying busy. I love it, though. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you said that there's like a limited amount of Prosecco companies. What's the reason for that?
Minority owned or just in general?
Well, minority owned, first of all.
I don't know. I think people just aren't educated on it, or people don't know how to go about starting the brand. I've started plenty of brands, so I'm sort of familiar with the process, but I think people are maybe scared of what it takes. Like I said, it's a year and a half process for us. Legally, the legal entity of it, going over there, getting the product. So, I mean, it's something we had to work on every day. And I don't know if just people aren't willing to put in the time or people don't care, but we're number 5. I know that much. Yeah.
So when you identify an opportunity and you're like, this is something that I want to pursue after, what is your process for developing a brand?
Man, that's a great question. I'm a numbers guy first. The numbers have to make sense before we can go after anything. So, for example, with the Prosecco, we had a beer first. The beer was finished, ready to hit market, couldn't get distribution. On the back end of the beer, I was already playing with sparkling wines, champagnes, looking at sparkling wine in California, and then Prosecco. And again, before I dived into it, I said, let me look at the numbers. Do the numbers make sense? What are they selling for? What is the cost to produce? And I'm like, this is way better than beer. So my process always starts with the numbers. Do the numbers make sense? And then we move forward from there.
Okay, so once you've got that number model down and you're like, this does make sense, like what are the next steps for you?
So like with Don Luchi, it was legally, what do we need to do legal-wise to be, so we're not in trouble down the road?
Yep.
And so we hired a lawyer. We didn't do anything on our own. We're like, we need somebody professional. Hey, this is what we want to do. This is what we need you to do. Show us the steps. So legal-wise, then after that, then we sort of get into the branding. We started playing with the logo. What do we want it to look like? What do we want to call it? What's our color scheme, our branding guide, everything like that. So then we really get into the meat of building the brand. So we built the brand before we launched it for about 6 months, just how we would approach social media, the website, the color scheme, where we advertising. That took us about 6 months, and then we're just off from there.
Have there been any hurdles that you've had to cross over in the alcohol industry, like entering into this new venture?
Man, I always tell everybody the biggest hurdle is patience. You have to be patient because you're always waiting on somebody else to do their job. And somebody's got to check your label. Somebody's got to approve you for something. It's so many things you have to get done, but somebody else has to do it. So patience has been the biggest hurdle because our release date was actually March. And we ended up releasing the end of June. So we had to sit still and let everything just happen. What was crazy is the legal side is you're never done. You're never done with it. We thought we had everything done by the book, ready to launch. Oh no, you got to go fill this out now. You got to go fill this out. You need this. I'm like, what in the world is happening? So, and then every month you also have to report to the state what you're importing and whatnot. So the legal game is never done. Patience is really big in it. So other than that, we didn't have too many crazy hurdles in this project. It was almost like we were meant to be here.
Hell yeah.
It flowed for us. So we're grateful for that. So we feel like we're in the right place at the right time.
And you talk about, like, I think that's great advice, having patience. And as an entrepreneur, like, you can really only control what you do. But unfortunately, you can't do everything. And a lot of times you have to rely on other people. How do you not allow other people to determine your fate and keep that deal in your control and make sure that it gets across the finish line, although you don't have control of what they're doing necessarily? Do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So I have a personal experience of this. I've had projects in the past to where I've had the vision for it. And then again, I had to delegate certain responsibilities and someone could change my vision. And the mistake I made then is I let them run with the change. And it wasn't what I saw originally, which is fine in some cases. But with this project, we said, now we know the vision. We know what we want to do. We'll delegate responsibility, but this is what we need you to do. And as an entrepreneur, you have to delegate. Like you said, we can't do everything on our own. For this project, I think we've done the most delegating we've ever done. We've been given everything left and right. Do this for us, do this for us. And it's been phenomenal. But everybody, I think the biggest thing is we sold the vision. We sold what we wanted to see this time. And it's been working perfectly.
So how did you, like, I know this isn't your first venture, but, like, let's backpedal a little bit. Like, how did you get into entrepreneurship? Well, first of all, like, what is your background? What is it like for you growing up? Like, at what point was there that transition? Like, I'm not going to, be with the thundering herd, like, be like everybody else.
All right, so I grew up, born and raised in Charleston. I watched my father work at Piggly Wiggly, work at a boat plant, watched my mother work, watched everybody in my family just work all the time. Didn't really get to see a lot of people, always was a babysitter or daycare or something like that. But and my pops stepped out and became an entrepreneur. He partnered with one of his buddies and they started a business together building boat interiors. On the other hand, I saw my uncles have their own business. They were mechanics. They did lawn care. So at some point I was like, well, is it normal to work or is it normal to sort of do your own thing? So with my pops, I would work with him a lot. So I saw the hard work that went into just doing your own thing. Like, it's a lot of work rather than punching the clock for somebody and then going home and then come back doing it again. Man, I lost track.
Yeah, just like, essentially, like, what was that transition into entrepreneurship?
All right, so for me, I think I naturally was just, I don't want to say.
You were drawn to it?
I could sell stuff. So middle school, I remember I used to burn CDs and sell them. I used to sell candy. In high school, I used to sell progress sports.
No way.
Yeah, got suspended for that. I would make you a progress sport and sell it. Kids don't do that. Don't try it.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I would sell.
So you were chasing that bag though from day one.
Any way I learned how to get it. In college, man, I was cutting people hair. I never cut hair in my life. Now, so that's a secret. If you're watching this now, you know.
Hell yeah. So when you saw your uncles and your dad starting these businesses, what did you learn from them that's kind of helped you later on in your career?
Work. Nothing comes without work. You got to work. Put in the work. And that's just how I've been. One thing I implement with the work now is I play hard. So I work hard, I play hard. I've seen so many people work and don't even get to enjoy the fruits of their labor. And I'm like, I'm going to enjoy it.
Why do you think that's important?
Life is short. Life is so short. You can work all day and then go home, you're done. Car accident, something happens, you're finished. Like, enjoy life. It's so short. You can't take the money with you. You know, we can leave it back for generations, but enjoy it. Fruits of your labor. So that's one thing that's big with us. We're going to travel. We're going to eat good, drink good. We play good. We play hard, and we just enjoy life.
Do you think that cultural experience from traveling exposes you to a lot of opportunities?
Absolutely. California was like one of the biggest influences for me because I would go to California almost every other month for like a year. I was in love with San Diego. What I learned from Cali is they were so far ahead of South Carolina. I felt like I can go there and take an idea and just bring it back to South Carolina. And people here were like, oh. So you remember when vape pens sort of hit?
Yeah. I was in like high school when they were the first thing. It wasn't even nicotine. It was just a hookah pen.
Right. So I'm talking about actually like THC pens, right?
Yeah, okay. That was a little bit later for me.
Yeah, so South Carolina never saw it, but I saw it in Cali.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind. I'm like, what is that? In my mind, I'm like, man, South Carolina would kill this. Didn't mess with it though, but it was crazy to see how far ahead of time they were compared to what we were doing over here.
Right.
I was like, that's crazy. Y'all delivering this? I was like, that's nuts to me.
Yeah.
So Cali always influenced me. Whenever I need an idea, I needed time to just think, I would go to California to see what they were doing and then try to come back to South Carolina and implement it, or just move our state a little bit more forward. You know?
And you were talking before about how, like, you know, work ethic is the key. What are like the daily habits or just like habits that you've had to implement within your life to see high productivity and have the success that you've had?
For me, I say be very intentional. Be very intentional with your time. You can get like your phone can sidetrack you so quick. One other thing I say is taking care of your body. It's so big. Now that I'm older, I realize like I really drink a lot of water. I eat fruit in the morning. I'm up early. I'm exercising. I think your body plays a big part in entrepreneurship and just doing great, because you just got to take care of yourself. Your body can give out and you can't do anything. So that's a big part for me. And just being mentally stable. I like to take trips where I'm by myself and I just relax mentally. I really turn off my phone. I don't want to hear anything. And,
right.
And it's a reset for me. So mental and taking care of the body is big for me when it comes to just entrepreneurship, working hard.
What was your first venture going off completely on your own? It sounds like the interior boat business was something that had already kind of been within the family. What was like the first venture that you pursued that was completely on your own, that you jumped in the deep end? Was it the clothing company?
Yeah. So before Dope and Rare, I had Luchi Royale. I was in Art Institute of Charleston. I started that brand 2009, I remember 2010. And I had a dream. I was sleeping in class. So I woke up in class and something was like Luchi Royale. Luchi was already my nickname. And I was like, okay. So again, I'm in school to be a graphic designer. So I designed the logo in class and the brand was born. And I had no money to do anything. So I met this guy on Morrison Drive that had a print shop, Todd Kern. And I went in there one day, I'm like, hey, can you print me some stuff? And he printed some stuff for me for free to get me started. And I did pre-orders, built the money up. Then I did the actual order, made my profit, and just kept repeating the cycle, and I built that brand up. Luchi Royale at one point was one of the biggest brands in the Southeast. I lost a good bit of it because I started manufacturing in China, and I was getting bad product. And of course, they're not giving you your money back.
Right.
So I lost a lot, pretty much everything. And that business just sort of fizzled out for me. But it was a great learning experience. I was able to build Dope and Rare off of that.
So what have you learned from doing business internationally, overseas? I think like a lot of people are starting to get into sourcing products from overseas. What are kind of the like pitfalls of it and the advantages of it?
I always say if you're going to do anything overseas, communication is so big. Communication. I thought I knew how to communicate with people overseas because the time difference is one thing. You got to be up at a certain time or stay up to a certain time to even properly communicate with anyone.
Right.
You need to communicate exactly what you're looking for and what you want. Exactly to the T, every detail you can get. I think communication hurt me the first time because I thought they knew what I wanted, then I didn't get it, and I'm like, okay, this ain't it. Sampling, anything you get overseas, I say sample. You have to sample. You have to get something tangible in hand to say, okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm. If
not, then you can make your changes. A lot of people won't do sampling because the time it takes. Some manufacturers take 7 days to get you something, some 30 days. You guys got to be patient. Other than that, I think that's the biggest thing is knowing exactly what you want, communicating that, and getting the sample, and then you can build anything from that.
How does communication differ from here in the U.S. to like communicating with someone overseas? Is there like different, what's the word I'm looking for? Intricacies?
Well, the biggest thing, time. Number 2, language barrier.
Right.
You know, we might have some slang that we use on an everyday basis that you talk to somebody over there and they're like, huh? They don't know what you're talking about.
But culturally, it's pretty standard?
Yeah. I think they've worked with enough people over here to understand what you're looking for at some point. And I mean, a lot of our goods come from overseas, so
Right.
they're already familiar. But I think communication and timing are two of the biggest things.
So now on the front end of that business, like I know that your businesses have a lot of traction, that you have a big audience that are loyal customers. What do you think the key is to developing that audience with first your first clothing brand and into, what you have now and, the success that you've had with these two brands? How do you develop the trust with that audience and get them to continue coming back and, utilizing and purchasing your process or products?
For me, the story, the messaging behind it, why you're doing it, why, how can it relate to this person? Number two, quality. I'm really big on quality. If I'm going to spend money on something, I want to make sure it's the best quality. Also the same when we started the Prosecco, it's like I can't release something that I can't stand behind. Like, would I buy this myself if I saw it on the shelf? If I'm in a store, would I buy this? When I feel this shirt, be like, oh, that's nice. So quality for me is just top tier. Presentation is big for me also. Like, we want to present it in a certain way where you feel glad or happy that you purchased this product. It's not a waste of money to you. So I think we just built that rapport with people. Love our story. People love the quality, the way we present things. We don't just slap someone on the internet and say bye. We'll throw an event for you to come through. Anything to keep the people engaged is how we've been able to build this brand. The same we're doing with the Prosecco. We're doing an event every month. So we're keeping the people engaged. We're giving them something to do, something to look forward to.
What would you say is the single biggest thing that you have learned through all these ventures, or one thing that now that you wish you had known when you first entered into the entrepreneurship game?
Pay attention to the numbers. Like, respect the numbers. Numbers are everything. Everything. That's the biggest thing with every business I'm involved in. It's numbers for me. So the numbers have to make sense with whatever we're doing.
Yeah, and like a lot of my mentors, they call it drinking the Kool-Aid with entrepreneurs, is like you're so like seduced by your idea that you turn a blind eye to the model behind it, and it doesn't actually in reality work, but you just keep plummeting down this path because again, you're like in this trance of this great idea.
Oh yeah, I've been there before.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Cool. I've been in so many ventures. I had a fortune cookie venture.
No way.
Yeah, we were mailing fortune cookies with like random stuff in it.
Yeah.
And it was like fun, horrible idea, very expensive. You didn't think it was, but you have to order a lot of fortune cookies. But yeah, stuff like that. I've been way down a rabbit hole, and I'm like, how the hell did we get here?
What's your biggest crash and burn of all time?
I would say Lucha Real. I lost a lot of money with Lucha Real. I think everything I had, I put into that and started back at ground zero. Yeah. I had to take 2 or 3 years off to like get myself back together financially just to do anything else.
Well, how do you come back from that? And like, that is just a part of entrepreneurship, is like sometimes those failures are inevitable and, you're going to learn from them no matter what. But where a lot of people don't come back from that. How did you, how were you resilient and able to go back and jump back into the fire and plummet down the path of another venture?
I think you got to learn from your mistakes, and you can't let them mentally beat you. I think a lot of people can get mentally discouraged after losing a lot. I mean, I was, but again, I look at life as, if I don't take the risk, then where would I be? If I don't take a step out, then what happens? I'm like, I got to take the shot. So I think that's just me personally. I know some people can do it, some people can't. But again, just learning from those mistakes I made, I'm like, okay, I know what not to do now, but I know what worked. I did those pre-orders of Lucha Real, and I built up the money to pay for this stuff. It worked. I could run that again. So I ran that play again and did it again. Now I'm back in the situation. Now I know, okay, don't send $10,000 to China for this. Don't do this. Okay? Be patient. Calm down. And I love what we formed from Dope and Rare. Like, Dope and Rare will be 10 years old next year. So I love what we've done now. Like I told you earlier, we only release once or twice a year. It has been working perfect for us. So something different.
What is your like overarching goal as an entrepreneur or as an individual? Like, how do you define success? What are you chasing after?
For me, it's the ability to create what I want to, when I want to, where I want to, how I want to. That makes me feel amazing. Us going and doing this Prosecco, people are like, how the hell did y'all come out with your own Prosecco? And I'm like, because we wanted to. And we did it. That was success to me. That feels great. That was like one tier one for us on that. But that's success for me, like doing what I want to. My creative spirit, just letting it flow. Whatever idea I have, I can make it happen. So that's success for me.
Is there anything that you wish you had that you don't have right now? Not necessarily material things, but maybe just like quality of life, or even spiritually or mindset wise, or, happiness, or is there anything that you're like chasing after that you don't necessarily have a full grasp on yet?
I mean, I think we all want like a $250 million, so that wouldn't hurt. I think I'm where I'm supposed to be right now, and I'm thinking I'm going in the direction I should be going in. So right now, over the past maybe 12 months, I've been the most even keel, the most balanced I've ever been. Intentional. A lot of people say, man, you got a lot going on. I'm like, I know, but it doesn't feel like a lot. It feels pretty good. Like I enjoy it. So this is something I feel like I'm missing. Maybe some more resources to get things done a little bit quicker, but I'm pretty sure on this journey, they'll come as needed. So like I said, I'm not in any rush. We're being very patient. And I think it'll all happen as it's supposed to.
If you had $1 million of guilt-free capital right now, what would you do with it?
Put it in the business.
What part of the business?
Oh, man, we were talking about the Prosecco. If we went big out the gate, where would it be right now? Probably be the biggest thing in the country. I probably would put it into the Prosecco brand. Like, we'd be all over right now.
What specific aspects, like how would you deploy that capital within the business? Would it be on marketing or team?
Product and marketing. Get more product. The more product I can get over here, the more I can move.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So most definitely that. And definitely $1 million. I'm going to enjoy life. Make sure my family enjoys life. Let's take a trip. Let's do something.
Take half of it and just slip it in the field.
Yeah, let's go. What's on your bucket list? Let's go do it. Yeah.
Where would you go next? What's your next on the bucket list for you?
Japan is on my bucket list.
Hell yeah.
Really bad.
What's the draw to Japan?
I don't know. I can't tell you.
Yeah.
My buddy's in the Navy, and he went over to Japan. And he came back. He's like, you love Japan. He's like, Japan's made for you. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I can't explain it. I guess he knows how I am about technology. I love technology. I love Japanese culture. I love Asian cuisine is my favorite. So
Hell yeah.
I'm like, I got to get to Japan for some reason.
Yeah, I've been really wanting to go to Southeast Asia, like check out Thailand, Bali, Vietnam.
Yeah.
But we'll see. That's next on the list.
Yeah, most definitely.
What was I going to ask? Within the business, all your businesses, like what is your contribution? Like what is your skill set that you contribute to a business? What do you like to focus the majority of your time on?
Creative direction, most definitely. And most people call me, what's the word? I guess the leader. I can make decisions for you. The decision maker.
I call it a rainmaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like in early days, at the head of a tribe, there was always the shaman essentially.
Yeah.
That was calling in the rain. But it's like, nowadays it's like the person with the high intuition that knows what direction to take the rest of the family or the rest of the tribe.
Right. Most definitely, I do have a vibe or a feeling or a vision. And I'm like, this should be our next move. It just feels right after my research. But that's pretty much the role I play. When people are sort of pity-patting around trying to make a decision, I'm like, nah, don't even think about it. We know what it is. Like, let's not hesitate.
Do you feel like you have any internal limitations that you need to get over or anything that you're working on internally, like with yourself? It's always a tough question.
I probably need more sleep. I think I do. I get that a lot. They're like, you're not sleeping enough. I sleep about 4 hours a night.
Really? Wow.
4 to 5. And I'm like recharged. I'm like, I'm good. But I know it's not healthy. Again, back to just health, body, internally, there's things I do well, but there's things I know I could do better. There's habits I know I should break, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So even like smoking a vape or something, gotta cut that out. It's tough, but I think we all know what's wrong and right for us, and it's just like overcoming that.
Making the decision.
Yeah, making the decision to be like, I'm completely done with this.
Yeah.
So it's always work. Always work, either if it's in business or personal. It's always some kind of work going on.
What's the biggest adversity that you have encountered thus far in your journey that you've gotten over?
Man, that's a great question. I usually don't even think about the adversities. I would say, man, running business, not having capital is really tough. It's tough to do.
Yeah. But it really makes you a good entrepreneur when you can run it without business. I see so many people that get drunk raising money, and those are the types of people that spend money really, really quickly too and burn through it. You've probably learned how to become super efficient with using your resources.
We do not, if we don't need it, we ain't spending it. If we don't need it, we do not spend it. So we were talking about this the other day. We were about to buy ice buckets for promo to give away to some of our placements. And we were like, nah, for what? You know, we don't need 250 ice buckets sitting around. That's money sitting. Some other point we'll get it, you know?
Yeah.
Not right now.
Not high priority?
It's not a high priority at all. So, yeah, the biggest adversity would be, you know, overcoming not having the capital to keep running or to grow. So, you know, a lot of businesses I built, it would feed off itself, which is great in my opinion. If it could just feed off itself and grow, it's perfect to me. Yeah.
So before we wrap this up, like, what advice would you give to someone who maybe wants to make the leap into entrepreneurship or is maybe early in their entrepreneurial journey?
My biggest piece of advice, like I tell my siblings, my cousins, I said, man, if you don't do it, then what? If you don't take the leap, you're in the same situation, so why not?
Right.
Like, what do you really have to lose? What do you really have to lose? Like, give yourself a shot. I always tell people, you can't do anything without belief. If you don't believe it'll happen for you, it'll never happen for you. Our group, our team, everybody we work with, everything is belief-based first. Nobody comes in the room and says, "Oh, I don't think that's." Nah, we don't talk like that. We believe it first, and then we know it'll happen. I got that from my coach, rest in peace, Coach Miller. He always told me, I played football for Stratford. I was defensive back. He would always tell me, you have to see yourself making the play before you made the play. And I always took that with me.
That's such good advice.
One of the two quotes is his quote, see the play before you make the play. You have to see the vision. And then my mother's quote is, presentation is everything. Wherever you go, present yourself. No matter what you're doing, presentation is everything.
And impressions and...
Yes, so I always kept those two with me. And I've been doing fine since.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, our bodies follow our minds. Like, first we visualize it and then we do it. And so many people lack that imagination and that creativity and ability to visualize it. It's such a important practice to get to master. Because if you look around, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, like, every last man-made thing in this room or in this world was at one point in time just a thought, an imagined thought.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. And it's like, where does that thought come from? Like, that's a whole nother question.
Right.
But when you put your energy on that creativity and you do visualize whatever it is, that a lot of times it's solving a problem, that's what materializes it into reality, or at least the first step to getting it.
Absolutely. Manifestation, man. Got to see it first. Yeah.
You believe in manifestation?
Absolutely. I think you can manifest things. I think it's just part of believing.
100%.
I just say I believe it'll happen. And then we just go do the work then.
Yeah.
A lot of people believe it, then you don't do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we love working. That's our favorite word. We call it boots on ground.
Down in the trenches.
Yeah, we're willing to get dirty. At any point, we'll do whatever it takes to make sure our business succeeds. Yeah.
And you made a really good point about, you know, how a lot of people have these like goals but don't actually put in the work. And,
right.
you know, I call that congruence. Like, so many people have these like unbelievable ideas and visions, but if your daily habits don't reflect that end goal, it's likely not going to come into fruition.
Procrastination is crazy these days. I see it.
I do it myself.
I do too. It is really, is it a disease? Can you say that?
I would say that it's at it's a mental limitation.
Yeah, it's crazy. When I catch myself doing it, I'm like, yo, you got to get out of that. That's crazy. I'm like, you just sat here and watched a 2.5 hour movie for what? And it was horrible. I'm like, you just wasted that. I'm like,
and I feel like everything around us is like really set up for us to procrastinate.
oh, absolutely.
I'll find myself like ripping through reels for 2 hours.
Same.
And that's something I got to stop doing.
Same.
Like, it's cancerous.
YouTube, I go down the hole in YouTube. I just love YouTube. I'm just like watching all kind of videos, and I'm just like, oh, this is cool. Then you look up 3 hours ago, and you're like, damn.
Yeah, where'd the time go?
Yeah.
And there's good stuff, like you pull from it, and like, you know, I've learned a lot from YouTube and like reels, but sometimes it can turn into brain rot, and I end up in some rabbit hole looking at like, cockroaches fighting or something.
I was watching orca whales the other day. I was like, man, orca whales are amazing. Like I learned something, but I'm like, I shouldn't take this much time.
Have you seen how they're in like the Bering Strait right now, like attacking boats?
Yeah.
It's nuts.
The apex predator of the world. Blew my mind. I was like, that's pretty cool.
They're turning on us though. They're seeing humans are fucking up their waterways.
Yeah.
Coming after us now.
It's crazy.
We gotta watch out. As long as the great whites don't turn on us.
Oh man, I think that already happened too. yeah. It's a little too late now.
So where can people find you if they want to reach out or they want to, you know, they're interested in your brands? Like where can they look you up? Anything you want to plug?
Instagram. So Don _Luchi, that's Luchi. That's my personal. And then the Prosecco is official Don Luchi, all one word. And then Dope and Rare is DOPEANDRARE. That's on Instagram. All of those have their own website, same exact wording. And YouTube, we're everywhere, all over social media. Don Luchi, if you're in Charleston, can be found at Bottles. We're in all the Bottles. We're in a bunch of restaurants downtown. You just go on our website, you click the store locator, or go on Google Maps and type in Don Luchi. It'll pop up everywhere that it's at. So we're growing, we're excited, and we look forward to it. We got to get you a bottle, man. I should have brought a bottle.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I want some teas.
Oh, I got you.
Hell yeah.
I got you.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming out. It's very inspiring what you're doing, and definitely looking forward to see the growth and success of your brands.
Thank you, man. Appreciate y'all for having me.
Awesome. Well, that concludes this episode of Shakin' Hands. I'm your host, Jack Moran. If you like what you saw today, please tune in next time for some more interesting guests and conversations. Thanks, guys.